Good evening from the Mountain Weather Information Service. This is your forecaster Jeff Monk looking at the planning outlook on the mountains for the next week or so. Recently we've had periods of fairly stable weather. We've had westerly winds coming in for periods, bringing low cloud onto western mountains, breaking up from time to time, and then this week we've had northerly winds. These will give way later in the week, and for 3 or 4 days over the weekend, mainly Sunday and through the early days of next week, it is temporarily going to be more broken before it looks as if pressure will build again and it'll become fine. So perhaps the main thing is that after the unseasonably cold weather this week, it will become progressively warmer over the next few days on the mountains. That's really through until about Sunday. Then if anything, the temperature up and down a little bit. Rain will spread northeastwards later in the weekend. So I'm going to show you some isobar charts. Isobar shown 1 millibar intervals and the charts courtesy of meteoseal.fr. So starting for Friday, if you've got a long weekend, a ridge of high pressure northwards across the country, so the winds will be light, possibly a little bit blustery along the east coast, in other words, over towards Angus, Deeside, and perhaps the eastern Pennines to begin with, Cheviot Hills as well, but that'll drop away during the day, and then if anything on Skye and the Western Isles, the wind picking up later in the day from a southerly direction. There will be the odd shower, but generally speaking, cloud coming and going through the day, and visibility should be pretty good. Cloud base generally fairly high, although there will be patches of cloud on some of the higher areas which will clear only slowly. Over the weekend, really moving on quickly, we have stronger winds on Saturday, strengthening through the day. Southerly winds strengthen. Generally, a lot of dry weather, perhaps 1 or 2 showers. Cloud generally above most or all summits. So not a bad day on the hills, and it will be warmer. Temperatures in the valleys, probably into the low teens, 13, 14 degrees Celsius, and 5 to 7 on many summits, perhaps just a little bit lower, the highest summits in Scotland. Then it gets more complicated. When we get to Sunday, we have different answers. We have 1 or 2 models which are looking something like this, with a ribbon of high pressure, I beg your pardon, a ribbon of low pressure coming into Ireland. We have 1 or 2 low models with low pressure in here off southwest Ireland. In other words, there is uncertainty. Broadly speaking, it does look as if rain will progress northwards across Wales then into the mountains of northern England, perhaps getting into southwest Scotland during the afternoon. And those isobars close together, so it will be windy. Particularly so, I would say, across the southern uplands and also the southern highlands. Generally warm, although as the air rises off the cold North Sea across Angus near Glen Shee, these areas on higher summits the temperature only just above freezing point. So it does look as if rain will begin to spread in on Sunday, but there is doubt as to how far north it will get. Into next week, it's still on the complicated side, with further troughs fronts moving northwards, and to be honest, when you look at the various models, although there is a little bit of consistency between 1 or 2 of them, being realistic, the rain and the low cloud is in different places on the model. So at this stage, I think all we can say is that early next week there will be bands of low cloud and rain moving northwards. It may well be that if you're considering going up into the north of Scotland, the northwest Highlands, that as it were, the fronts and the low cloud very much run out of steam, as it were, by the time it gets up there, and it may well be that total rainfall is fairly low, and as I say, more really due to the fact that in southerly winds, for the most part, the air will have come over other mountains first, but the cloud base up in the northwest may well be fairly high, although again, there are differences in the exact sequence and the timing. So if we jump on the day, Tuesday, south to southwesterly winds, probably quite a lot of low cloud over western mountains on Tuesday, pushing northwards. There may well be a front bringing more general rain, but not great quantities of it, particularly away from coastal mountains. Then, later next week, By about Thursday or Friday, pressure will be building again over the North Sea or towards Scandinavia. Easterly winds will be beginning to spread in. Southerlies backing southeast, backing easterly, and it looks as if there will be substantial dry, reasonably warm weather. At this time of the year, when you get easterly winds, quite often coming round high pressure, it varies, sometimes coming from a cold source to the north of Scandinavia, so the Arctic is still cold, and then for a while, as the ridge of high pressure changes shape, it perhaps comes from the Mediterranean, it warms up. So once we get into easterly winds, I think temperature levels will vary day by day, but the highest temperatures, both on the summits and in the valleys, are likely to be toward the west. So it looks as if a settling in the weather later next week, albeit whether it kicks in Wednesday, Thursday or even Friday, not certain yet, and probably it looks as if it'll be the Highlands, Scotland, which benefits from the longest dry weather. It may just be that with pressure a little bit lower over England and Wales, prone perhaps to get rain occasionally coming up from the south. Nevertheless, not too bad over the next week or two as a whole, albeit there will be this blip later in the weekend and early next week. So do enjoy your time on the mountain.